the way I see development is um, maybe a little different because I've experienced it at all levels. And one of the things that stands out in my career is Coach K was talking to Kobe about kind of giving them vision and giving them goals and how to look at things differently. And so my experience as a player is I loved football. It was what I wanted to do. And I was I had committed to the University of Oregon to go play quarterback there. And probably about a week before the signing day, this coaching staff all drove to my house in a winter storm. And they stopped by my house and they said, I want to build this program around you and you're going to start for 4 years. And I'm like, man, I got to go do that. And just long story short, my first year at Boise State, we were 2-11. It was the worst record that school had ever been. I broke some NCAA records in that year. I got sacked 24 times in a game, which was an NCAA record at that time. I set some achievements that you're not very proud of. But the interesting thing about that experience is that coaching staff brought in some guys and the culture changed. And my wide receiver, who was a senior that year, he was a walk-on, and we had all experienced this 2-11 year together. And right before spring practice, they called a team meeting, and basically it was two guys, the wide receiver and a defensive end on our team. And we had some streaks going that weren't very popular. We had lost to our rival 13 straight times. We hadn't won a playoff game in years. And the guy by the name of Jarrett Howski, who now runs one of the top marketing agencies in the world, wrote a one-page letter. And they handed it out to every one of us. And it said, we're going to win a Big Sky championship on our home turf. The fans are going to tear down the goalpost. We're going to break the Idaho streak, and we're going to play in a national championship. And we had just went 2-11. Now, kind of ask yourself, does that seem realistic? I would say no. And what happened was just amazing. We wrote it down, and then we believed it. And then every day at practice, we wore tape around our ring finger. Every single practice, every single game, every single player, every single workout, we had a ring around our finger, and it was made out of tape. And we were going to replace it with a national championship ring. And I want to tell you guys, we accomplished every goal except for winning the national title. We lost the national title game to Youngstown State and Jim Tressel, who went on to be Ohio State's head coach and won a national title there. But who you surround yourself with, and if you set a goal and you believe in that goal and you commit to that goal, amazing things happen. And we had the largest turnaround ever in NCAA history just because a guy wrote a letter and we believed in it.
I love it. I love it. What was it like watching not only the program develop, but the guys around you develop? Because obviously your offensive line developed, you survived. So they got better, you got better. What was it like watching all that growth happen?
Uh, it was unbelievable, and there's some things that I got to experience that other people don't. I just a question: if you guys, how many of you guys know Boise State? Raise your hands. Okay, what are we famous for? Blue turf, right? Well, when I came in as a freshman, I got to meet the AD and the head coach, and the head coach had passed away, but he just knew how to motivate people. He knew how to get people in the stands. He said that we had a game that had 4 feet of snow in the town of Boise, And he said, if we get 20,000 people to buy tickets, I'm going to ride the horse down Main Street. And he did it. And so talk about a leader of man. He put himself out there. But the interesting thing about that is the guy that was our athletic director and the coaches they brought me in after my freshman year, and they showed me our stadium. And they said, we're gonna have a 45,000 seat stadium. We're gonna have a training center here, and we're gonna be a top 25 program in the next 5 years. All those things happened because they had a vision and they did it. And I got to be a part of that. Now, I learned pretty much everything that motivates me now from guys that did it in front of me. They were leaders, and that it wasn't like they were better than anybody else. They just believed, and they made people around them believe.
I know you were a huge part of that team. I mean, you led them not only in the position, but from what I've been told, your leadership skills were second to none as a player. But as you think back a little bit before that, you're a student athlete and now you're a CEO. What do you draw from those times as a student athlete, high school and college, that you use right now in the job that you have?
Probably the thing that I focus on the most is I focus on people around me more than I focus on myself when it comes to team. I try to empower people to be the best of who they are. And when the team's doing well, that means I'm doing well. And it didn't matter what sport I was playing. I was taught by my grandfather, who was my idol, and he always told me, be humble, but always focus on team, and always focus on the environment, and be positive. One of the things that I see a lot with kids right now is the emotion. And I have a son who's highly emotional. He's highly competitive. And it's taken being around Coach Trosky for a lot of years, and a lot of reconditioning of redefining what failure is, and redefining how you handle failure. And I think those are all things that lead me. I wasn't afraid to fail. I wasn't afraid to put myself out there. I was always undersized. I always had a chip on my shoulder, and I felt like the best way for me to bring out the best in myself was to work harder than everybody else, be positive, and always compliment and always encourage people around me.
You mentioned you see that a lot with young players, the emotion that grabs them, takes them off their approach. If you were to give some advice as a dad, as a coach, former pro athlete, how do you reach a young guy, help him overcome some of the negative emotions that take them off their plan, off their approach, and get them moving, proactive and productive again?
Probably one of the things, and I see probably 5,000 players a year, baseball players, traveling with Coach Trosky. And one of the things that I would say stands out the most in my from what I see is these kids, you guys are trying to achieve things that really don't matter on the field, and redefining success and evaluating yourself. And I think it starts a lot with the kitchen table conversations of 2 for 3. Well, what was your 2 for 3? Did you hit a hard? Did you go 0 for 3 and find a way to help the team win a game by running the bases well, or what have you? I think a lot of these guys are focused so much on what their exit velo is, how hard they throw across the diamond, and none of that really equates to winning baseball games or becoming a better player. And so really defining what success is, what failure is, and what really matters.
It reminds me of a guy that became our Friday starter. He's 5'10", 180, 86, 87, good slider. I went out to watch him when he was in high school, and he gave up 7 runs in an inning and a third, and he got shellacked. His parents were there, and I'm watching this and I'm so impressed by how he's handling this. He's good, but not that day he got beat. And the way he stood up straight, shoulders back, kept his head high, kept making pitches. His dad walked up and said, yeah, I guess we won't be going to your school. And I said, no, actually, I'm more excited to have Matt than ever before. So I can't agree with you more on, we got to find ways, right? We got to find ways to rise above our feelings to put the right actions in place. And I know you do that because you got 85 things a second to do, and you have to. I want to stay to the 50 minutes, Tony.
Yep.
So I want to get one more question with you. If I talked a little bit about player development, but in terms of just personal development, and maybe you think from a standpoint of the people you hire, what advice would you give these guys in terms of how to develop, which direction to develop as people? Let's separate from the athlete for now.
Well, I think they all go together. One of the things that I see that is just being missed is who you surround yourself with. If you pick the 5 guys that you spend the most time with, you're going to pretty much predict what your future is going to be. And that goes even deeper into the phone that's in your pocket. If you're spending 4 hours a day looking at stuff, is that really making you better? If the people you're surrounding yourself with, are they helping you get closer to your goals, or are they a distraction? And you guys live in a world where I can't imagine how you handle the distractions that are in front of you. And one of the things that I'm learning, and we talked about it a while back, Greg, was that study on water and ice crystals. And it's so, I would encourage all of you to go look at that after this class. Is go see what snowflakes do when you play rap music that says the F word 10,000 times versus saying, I love you, you're great, you're the best. And go look and see what happens to those snowflakes. You'll be shocked. It's absolutely astounding. And so if you have something in your ear, what you're listening to is who you are. Start talking to yourself, quit listening to yourself. Stop listening to garbage and start listening to stuff that makes you better. I think that's the best advice I could ever give you. It's really how you guys are going to become what you want to be. It's what you choose to surround yourself with and what you choose to spend your time with. Nate calls it the 95-5. What are you putting in your gas tank? Are you putting in fast food and milkshakes and garbage? Are you putting in racing fuel or rocket fuel? Well, your brain's the same thing. That 5% drives your 95. What you put in there is going to dictate what happens on the field.
Outstanding. It's a great thing for us to finish with, because like I told these guys early before you got here, Tony, I tip my cap to them. We got some East Coasters that are up 950 right now. West Coasters are hustling home from practice or wherever they're at. But to everybody that came tonight, I believe you're on the right track, not because the 2 guys on the screen, but because you just took it. You said, hey, I want to learn a little bit. Now, your coach may have told you to be here. Go thank him if you got one thing out of tonight. And the last thing I'll tell you before I remind you of your goals for the week or for tomorrow is there's a whole team behind this class, a whole team. And I'm not telling you this to name drop, and I won't even give you their names, but I mean, there's a producer for LeBron James Media Company that wants you guys in this class. He's supporting this. The guy running the video is one of the best people I've ever met, Matt French. He's a retired tech exec. He doesn't need to do this, but he wakes up every day and he says, I just want to help young people grow. Tony Hildy on the call. There's a Giants coach that's on the board of this nonprofit. And this idea came because we just said, we want to teach the right things to hungry learners. And you're the hungry learner. So again, tip of the cap. Now let's get on to business because we're not on vacation. Set those goals tomorrow, read, train, give, and get all 3 done. Have a 5-minute conversation with somebody at home about what it meant to finish those 3 goals, and let them talk with you and let them build on some of those things that you wrote on paper. All right. Thanks for doing this tonight. Matt, thanks for running the behind the scenes. I will send you the link next Monday. Get back in your seats and let's scribble a little more in your performance journal. Good work tonight.
After hitting .430, Longoria transferred to Division I Long Beach State. There, he was introduced to the theories of Ken Ravizza, a professor of kinesiology and author of several books on sports psychology.
The essence is the idea of learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable and having something to go to when the garbage hits the fan, because the garbage will hit the fan, and let's be ready for it.
More than anything else, Ravizza preaches the gospel of mental preparation and structure. He teaches players to recognize failure as an unavoidable part of the game and how not to dwell on it. In the last 2 decades, he's been a paid advisor to several college and major league teams. At Long Beach State, his most apt pupils included Longoria and his teammate Troy Tulowitzki, now in his 3rd season with the Colorado Rockies.
Ken Ravizza, he's done a lot of good things for me and Evan. It's all about relaxing, taking your breath, and just making sure that the game's not moving too quick.
When you first were exposed to Ken's teachings, even you said, come on, this stuff can't really work. What was the turning point, you think?
We started playing in a lot of stadiums where it was a packed house, or the pressure was on, and that's when I started to realize when the game becomes more of a mental grind, I needed something to go to.
How do you think those theories helped him?
I think it calmed him. I think the mental game really helped him, and how he was way balanced after bad at-bats or bad games.
Oh, come on, you can't just turn it over like that.
As Longoria matured physically, his mental training allowed him to maximize his talents. He emerged as a top prospect in the summer of 2005 when he was named MVP of the Cape Cod League, a traditional breeding ground for high draft picks. In the 2006 draft, 3 years after failing to be selected at all, Longoria was the 3rd overall pick.
The Tampa Bay Devil Rays select Evan Longoria.
How did he get so much better so quickly?
I think his openness, that it didn't come easy, that he went through the rejection, and he was willing to take the risk to grow versus playing it safe all the time.
Longoria's mental maturity helped convince the Rays that he could be the cornerstone of the franchise. Just 6 games into his major league career, they signed him to a 9-year contract worth up to $44.5 million. Coincidentally, Longoria had found another true believer in Rays manager Joe Maddon, a longtime proponent of the Ravizza method.
What Ken does is it's an attempt to make you think in a different or more clear way, controlling the controllable aspects of playing this game.
Every time I see Evan, it's hello, and what do you got for me today, Ken? When you're putting on the batting gloves, put on the batting gloves. When you step into the box, be in the box. Be where you need to be when you need to be there.
Swing and rocketed into left center field. That's going to roll all the way to the warning track.
There is a Zen-like quality to Longoria's focusing techniques.
Ken talks a lot about the focal point. If I make an error in the field, or if I swing at a pitch in the dirt at the plate, and I really feel like, I've lost control of either my emotions or the at-bat, that's when I step out. I always look at the left field foul pole, at the top of the left field foul pole.
Just wherever you are, just
yeah, just because I know there's always going to be a top of the left field foul pole. So,
and it works for you.
It works for me.
Even when he's not in the lineup, Longoria follows a mental routine. He'll slide on his batting gloves and imagine himself at bat. When he is playing, rituals help him relax and focus.
But let's say, for example, here comes his pitch, he fouls it off. He will step out of the box, he'll undo his gloves, release that pitch, grips the gloves back on, steps in the box, and he's back.
Where do you draw the line between what you think is superstition, what is habit, and what is really about focusing?
There are so many weird things that us baseball players do that it would be classified all as superstition. But, I think superstition would be, if my mind was all messed up when I got to the plate if I didn't do that. So.
And it's not that?
No, it's not that at all.
Hey, me and you. Ground ball, come on.
Not everyone attributes Longoria's success to his mental focus. There's his work ethic, his bat speed, and another undeniable factor. Your buddies out in California that we spoke to said that they thought it was actually a big moment in your career and development when Eva Longoria became famous.
It seemed like everywhere I went, that was the only thing I heard for 2.5, 3 years now. But it kind of got my name out there. Whether it was Eva or Evan, obviously they remember the last name.
From what I understand, last year she got you a bottle of champagne when you made the All-Star team. What did she get you this year?
Nah, she gave up. She gave up on me.
In the 2008 World Series, the chant "Eva, Eva" floated through the air in Philadelphia. Whether or not the taunting bothered him, Evan Longoria went 1 for 20 against the Phillies.
It could have been the pressure that I was putting on myself. It could have been the outside distractions that I let get to me, and I look back now and kind of kick myself in the butt for that. Things kind of sped up on me. I think that was part of the whole experience for me too, is just learning those feelings.
He gets upset, but he's got some tools that he uses, and he knows that's part of the game. And then this goes back to his background where it didn't come easy. He had to struggle at times.
From undrafted and unrecruited to the All-Star game and the World Series. It's been a quick trip for Evan Longoria. Now comes the hard part, maintaining focus. Do you think there will be a day when you don't need a focal point, when you don't need the mental exercises that you do?
No, I don't think there will be, because as soon as you start believing that in this game, you'll get humbled in a heartbeat. I'll always have that to kind of keep in the back of my mind, and when I need it, use it.
Get rid of those things.